Have you ever wondered why doctors sometimes focus on preventing disease before it starts, while at other times they emphasize early diagnosis, rehabilitation, or even avoiding unnecessary medical treatment altogether? These may seem like completely different approaches, but they're actually part of one simple framework known as the levels of prevention. Understanding this concept is one of the foundations of community medicine, public health, and preventive healthcare. Whether you're a medical student preparing for exams, a healthcare professional, or simply someone interested in public health, mastering these levels will completely change the way you think about disease prevention. In this video, we'll explore how the concept of prevention evolved over time, understand each level with practical examples, and finally bring everything together in one simple framework that's easy to remember. So, let's get started. The idea of prevention didn't appear overnight. It has evolved over several decades. Back in 1953, Leavell and Clark described 5 applications of preventive medicine. These included health promotion, specific protection, early diagnosis and treatment, disability limitation, and rehabilitation. A few years later, in 1957, the Commission on Chronic Illness simplified these ideas into the 3 familiar categories we still use today: primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention. Then, in 1958, Leavell and Clark grouped these preventive measures under these 3 major levels in their classic textbook. As medicine advanced further, it became clear that prevention should begin even before risk factors develop. So in 1978, Strasser introduced the concept of primordial prevention. Finally, in 2003, Mark Jamul and the Wonka International Classification Committee introduced Quaternary Prevention, recognizing that modern medicine itself can sometimes cause harm through overdiagnosis and unnecessary interventions. Today, we therefore talk about 5 levels of prevention: primordial, primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary prevention. Together, these levels help us intervene at every stage of disease, from before risk factors appear to avoiding unnecessary treatment after disease has already been diagnosed. But successful prevention depends on more than simply knowing these 5 levels. First, we need a clear understanding of what causes disease. Next, we should understand how diseases spread, especially communicable diseases. We also need to identify risk factors and high-risk groups, because prevention becomes much more effective when targeted appropriately. Another essential requirement is the availability of preventive tools such as vaccines, screening tests, and effective treatment methods. Equally important is having an organized healthcare system that ensures these interventions actually reach the right people at the right time. No preventive program is complete without continuous monitoring and evaluation. Regular assessment helps us improve strategies and achieve better outcomes. Finally, healthcare is constantly evolving, so preventive methods must also continue to improve based on new scientific evidence. One important principle to remember is that in many diseases, simply removing a single essential cause can be enough to prevent the disease completely. Let's now begin with the first level: primordial prevention. Primordial prevention is the earliest form of prevention. Instead of preventing disease itself, it prevents the development of risk factors. In other words, it acts before unhealthy lifestyles or environmental exposures even become established. The focus is on creating healthy social, cultural, economic, and environmental conditions. Its main interventions include health education, healthy public policies, supportive environments, community participation, and promoting healthy habits from childhood. The best time to implement primordial prevention is early in life, because childhood behaviors often continue into adulthood. Examples include encouraging balanced nutrition, promoting regular physical activity, preventing tobacco and substance use, and creating supportive family and school environments. The ultimate goal is to reduce the future burden of chronic diseases like hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, obesity, and cancers. Simply put, primordial prevention prevents the risk factors before they appear. Once risk factors are already present, we move to primary prevention. Primary prevention acts before the disease begins. Its objective is to prevent the occurrence of disease by modifying risk factors and strengthening the body's resistance. This stage corresponds to the pre-pathogenesis phase of disease. Primary prevention follows two major strategies. The first is the population strategy, where interventions are directed toward the entire community regardless of individual risk. Examples include health campaigns promoting healthy diets, physical activity, and tobacco control. The second is the high-risk strategy, where interventions specifically target individuals who have a greater chance of developing disease. Examples include counseling people with obesity, hypertension, family history of diabetes, or occupational exposure. Primary prevention itself has two major modes of intervention. The first is health promotion. Health promotion focuses on improving general well-being rather than preventing one specific disease. It includes health education, environmental sanitation, adequate nutrition, healthy lifestyle promotion, stress management, and creating supportive environments. The second is specific protection. Here, interventions target particular diseases or hazards. Examples include immunization, chemoprophylaxis, vitamin supplementation, occupational safety measures, accident prevention, food safety regulations, pollution control, and protection against carcinogens or allergens. In short, health promotion improves overall health, while specific protection shields individuals against specific diseases. If disease has already started but symptoms are absent or minimal, our goal changes. This brings us to secondary prevention. Secondary prevention focuses on early detection and prompt treatment. Its purpose is to stop disease progression before complications develop. It acts during the early pathogenesis stage, often when disease is still subclinical. Think of the natural history of disease. A person first becomes susceptible, then disease develops silently. Symptoms appear later. Finally, complications and disability occur. Secondary prevention aims to identify disease during this silent phase before irreversible damage happens. The main intervention here is screening, followed by prompt and appropriate treatment. Common examples include mammography for breast cancer, blood glucose testing for diabetes, blood pressure screening for hypertension, pap smear screening for cervical cancer, and dental screening programs for children. The goals are straightforward. Detect disease early, slow or stop progression, prevent complications, reduce disability, improve quality of life. A simple phrase to remember is detect early, treat early, prevent progression. Now let's move to tertiary prevention. By this stage, disease is already well established. Here, our objective is no longer preventing disease itself. Instead, tertiary prevention is defined as all measures available to reduce or limit impairments and disabilities, minimize suffering caused by existing departures from good health, and promote the patient's adjustment to irremediable conditions. The emphasis now shifts toward reducing disability and restoring maximum function. Tertiary prevention has two major components. The first is disability limitation. This involves prompt treatment and appropriate medical care to prevent impairment from progressing into permanent disability. The second component is rehabilitation. Rehabilitation aims to restore the person's maximum physical, psychological, vocational, and social functioning. Examples include physiotherapy after stroke, cardiac rehabilitation following myocardial infarction, prosthetic rehabilitation after amputation, occupational therapy, speech therapy, vocational rehabilitation, psychological counseling, and community reintegration. The overall goals are to minimize disability, prevent handicap, promote independence, improve social participation, and ultimately enhance quality of life. The key message is simple. Even when disease cannot be cured, patients can still live productive and meaningful lives with proper rehabilitation. Finally, we come to the newest level, quaternary prevention. As medicine advances, more tests and treatments become available. But not every intervention is beneficial. Sometimes unnecessary investigations, excessive medications, or invasive procedures can actually cause harm. Quaternary prevention was introduced to address exactly this issue. The original Wonka definition describes it as identifying patients at risk of over-medicalization and protecting them from unnecessary medical interventions. The updated definition is even simpler. It is action taken to protect individuals from medical interventions that are likely to cause more harm than good. The main purpose is to prevent overdiagnosis, overtreatment, polypharmacy, and iatrogenic or medically induced harm. Its key principles include avoiding overuse of investigations and treatments, ensuring ethical medical practice, respecting patient autonomy, and promoting shared decision-making. Examples include avoiding unnecessary imaging tests, not prescribing antibiotics for viral infections, avoiding aggressive treatment when benefits are minimal, reducing unnecessary medications in elderly patients, and preventing medicalization of normal life events. Ultimately, quaternary prevention reminds us of one of the oldest principles in medicine. First, do no harm. Now that we've covered all 5 levels, let's bring everything together. Think of prevention as a journey. Primordial prevention prevents the risk factors. Primary prevention prevents the disease from occurring. Secondary prevention detects disease early and prevents progression. Tertiary prevention reduces disability and restores function. Quaternary prevention protects patients from unnecessary medical interventions and harm. Another simple way to remember them is before risk factors, primordial. Before disease, primary. Early disease, secondary. Established disease, tertiary. Too much medicine, quaternary. Together, these 5 levels ensure that healthcare is delivered at the right time, in the right way, for the greatest possible benefit. The most important message from this entire topic is that prevention isn't just about stopping disease. It's about protecting health at every stage. From creating healthy environments and preventing illness, to detecting disease early, reducing disability, restoring function, and ensuring that medical care itself does not become a source of harm. Understanding where a patient is in the natural history of disease helps us choose the right preventive strategy at exactly the right time. And that's the true essence of preventive medicine. If this helped you understand the levels of prevention more clearly, hit like, subscribe for more public health and community medicine breakdowns, and drop a comment below telling me which community medicine topic you'd like explained in more depth next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.